Hey, Randy, who do we have here?
We've got Bill Fahrenwald, Will Cazares, Candace Carr, and yourself.
Okay. I'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll start. It's 4, so we can start, but I'll give it a few minutes.
Allan Stevo.
Stevo's in the room?
He just got here. Yep. He's in now. Yep.
Okay. Chief Dan, is Bernie here too?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. We'll give it to 6:02 and then we'll start.
Okay.
Just in case somebody's trying to get through.
I could have had dessert.
Here's Chief Arzab.
All right. All right, I got 6:02. We're going to start this. We're good to go, Randy?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So let me start with reading the agenda. This is the regular meeting of the Public Health and Safety Committee held remotely on Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 at 6 p.m. as permitted by Executive Order 2020-07 signed by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on March 15th, 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. To participate remotely, download the Zoom app or call 312-626-6799. The Public Health and Safety Meeting webinar ID is 892-4375-2176, and the password is 599276. Any questions about how to do this, please contact the city clerk. So we're going to call the meeting order at 6:02 with a roll call. If you're here, say here. Klinker here. Carr?
Here.
Fahrenwald?
Here.
Hill? Johnny's not here. Johnson? Dexter's not here. Cazares?
Here.
Stevo?
Here.
And also Chief Arzab and Chief Rita, you're both here, right?
Arzab is here.
Sure, yes.
Okay. Thank you both.
Chairman,
all right.
this Chairman Klinker, this Dex, I'm here.
Dexter's here too. Beautiful. Okay. All right. So I sent everyone the minutes last week from the October 2020 meeting. I hope everyone got a chance to look them over. Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I'll move. Fahrenwald.
Okay.
Second, Cazares.
Fahrenwald, second by Cazares. Any questions? All right. We'll do a roll call. Klinker, aye. Carr?
Aye.
Fahrenwald?
Here. Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Cazares?
Aye.
And Stevo?
Aye.
Okay, so that passes. Public comment. Public comment shall be by email only. Persons interested in making public comment must email their public comments to jklinker@cityblueisland.org by November 15th, 2020 at 5 p.m. Email public comments received will be read during the public comment portion of the meeting by Alderman Klinker. I have one from Carol DePace Green I received a little while ago. It says PHS public comment, Carol DePace Green. How can we get the Public Health and Safety Committee chairs meeting minutes posted online on the City of Blue Island website? We need to get Public Health and Safety Committee meeting minutes posted online. Missing meeting minutes do not make discussions that took place in the meetings clear or any better. More women and men of color need to be added to the Blue Island Police Department and Blue Island Fire Department. What is the backup plan when the BI health inspector is out sick? A backup plan appears absolutely necessary and needed and should be developed by the Public Health and Safety Committee. How do we better get COVID-19 under control in Blue Island? Sorry about that. BI COVID public service announcement reports do not appear to have been effective. The COVID task force has been reactionary instead of proactive. No concrete efforts appear to have been made to slow the Blue Island community spread by the COVID team. How can and do we better get information into the hands of BI residents and the public? Sorry, I'm reading this off my phone here, so it's kind of small print. What ideas does the Public Health and Safety Committee recommend be implemented? Blue Island food insecurity appears more widespread. What more needs to happen and can be done at the municipal level? What are the Public Health and Safety Committee's recommendations? Blue Island has been declared food desert by the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. This means that fresh and healthy foods are hard to come by due to low access to grocery stores or markets. Where is the cereal Nancy Rita is collecting going? Who has heard from Jude Coyle, parentheses, Angel's Touch? All right, that's the end of that. No other public comment. So we're going to move right on into fire department business. Chief Dan, you're up with your monthly report.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you all were able to take a look at the report and the supporting documents beforehand. We'll start with the emergency call responses for October 2020. 280 EMS responses, 115 fire responses, 5 of which were auto aid, respectively broken down, as you see. Fees collected for the month of October for medical reimbursement, which is our ambulance billing, $29,328.09. That's also attached. That should be page 2 in your packet. That brings our total year to date to $389,367.32. That's a little bit ahead of where we were last year, so that's a positive. Fire recovery for the month of October, we collected $1,392, bringing that year-to-date total to $21,113.68. Oops, that should have been October. No false alarm fees again in October. Some of that is related to compliance, which is good, and then others we switched. Our company, Fire Recovery, switched the way they're doing that, so that you might see a little spike at the end of the year as they're trying to get some of their stuff in order in regards to how they handle their stuff. So calls of interest for the month of October, it was actually, other than ambulance calls, it was a relatively slow month, which in some regards that's good, all things considered. We did have a structure fire in town at 12717 Elm and 10-8. That was a gas-fed fire. The companies pulled up and did a pretty good job initially of getting that knocked down and under control. Saved most of that structure. Unfortunately, part of the problem is that we had to get the gas turned off, and it took NICOR a little bit of time to get out there to do so. But once that was accomplished, we were able to mop up rather quickly and take care of the remaining issues that were out there. So guys did a good job. We went to 2 structure fires out of town, one in Robbins on the 12th and one on 1024 to Posen. If you go to page 2 of that, just general information, again, continued with the COVID-19 task force and communicating with the elected officials. Our annual hose testing was completed in the month of October. Actually not too bad. The hose that we were able to purchase last year obviously has helped. So we only had a few lengths that went bad as a result of the testing. So we'll, as we come to the end of the year, look at replacing that, but it's not too terribly bad. So that was a good thing. Labor and Management Committee did meet. I'll talk a little bit about that in old business and some of the stuff that we discussed. And then maintenance-wise, ambulance 2152, which I think you guys, if you remember, I reported was involved in an accident back in June. But because the reserve ambulance was out for so long, it was delayed in getting in for some of its repairs. It's just a rear cabinet door, but that is out for repairs, and it should hopefully be back shortly here. And then the tower ladder is finally back in service. It came back a week or so ago. It does have transmission issues, and we were advised, obviously, to keep a close watch on it. Again, he said that hopefully it can make it through its lifetime here, which I think we're on borrowed time with, but it is back in service. We're limited its activities. as far as it's pretty much just going out of town right now. That's partly due to obviously wanting to make sure that it's good and we can nurse it to through this, and partly because we haven't changed any of the operational things with it being towards the end of the season or end of the year and some of the other things that we're going to be working on. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Fire prevention wise, Lieutenant Zielinski completed 10 annual inspections as well as updated the compliance engine and data entry into Image Trend. Again, some of that's a little bit slow for the inspection wise. Again, with COVID, we're trying to limit everybody's exposure to businesses, as well as our folks too. So training wise, we had, which that package should be the third attachment. For the month of October, we recorded 621.25 hours of training. Again, pretty decent number wise. Operationally, as I just said, we're in the process of looking at some things come the first of the year, so we'll keep you posted on that. But really, status quo as we are today. Then EMS wise, continue again to respond to and prepare for the COVID responses. John Duffy, I announced last month, was taken over to EMS coordinator. He has since decided, because of all his duties with the union and preparing for his lieutenant's exam, that it was too much. So he decided to hand it over to Mike Quilty. Mike's, we went over some stuff yesterday, so he's getting his feet wet with that. He's going to have quite a bit with the upgrade on forthcoming, so he's going to have a lot on his plate, but he's willing to do it and has stepped up too. So I think he'll be a good addition. And then I continue to have discussions about our ALS upgrade with Kim Stotts. We do currently have 3 members that applied and were accepted into the paramedic program that begins in January. So the first 3 will be going, and we're pretty excited about that. So that's it for the report. If you go through the rest of the packet or the handouts, attachments that I sent, we have the overtime report cover sheet, broken down obviously by member and their hours. And then we have attached to that the detailed breakdown as to what they were back for as far as overtime. And then the last page, or I'm sorry, the second to last handout was the October 7G hours for October. So that concludes my report on that.
I got a quick question for you, Chief. You guys just
Yes.
gave a test, or you're in the middle of giving a test? An entrance exam?
Entrance exam was the 7th of November.
Okay, so that's done, but you don't have results yet, I'm sure?
We're waiting on, we finished, the written was the 7th. They did the oral interviews that Monday, the 9th. And then I have the preliminary list I sent out yesterday, and I'm waiting for preference points to come back. So by the 30th, that should be posted, and we should be able to start calling off of that list, because we are still short one individual.
Did we get a good turnout?
Yeah. We had 33 apply, 26 were ended up showing up. We had 10 of the 26 pass. 8 of the 10 were paramedics. The 9th is going to be a medic in December, and I don't know about the 10th. But overall, I think we would have had we would have wished we had a little bit better pass rate, certainly. But we have 10 medics that are ready to go, hopefully here soon.
Good.
So.
Yep, that was my next question. Okay, cool. Does anybody else have any questions for Chief on his report?
No.
We'll move on to old business. Chief, you got anything?
I do. Just to update you, we met with labor management, and I met. We did kind of hash out some of their concerns and desires as it results to upgrading. So we were able to formulate some ideas. I then sat with Carrie from Olson and Sturck to discuss because the union filed a demand to bargain over this. So we discussed it. I brought him up to speed, and we are in the process of setting up dates to negotiate in regards to the upgrade to ALS. So I will keep you guys posted as we go through that. I think that we're pretty close to what each side is looking for in regards to this. So like I said, I'll keep you guys posted as we come through these meetings, and certainly obviously give you guys an idea of what's happening. And then the other thing that I had, which was the last attachment in the packet, and this is just to give you guys an illustration as we head into appropriations. We talked about apparatus replacement quite a bit the last, throughout this whole year. But this is just giving you guys an idea if everybody had a chance to look at it. Options 1, 2, and 3 are just the purchase of, and these are for demo rigs. This is HME. It's just one manufacturer, but again, it's just to give you an illustration of where we're at payment wise. This is with absolutely no money down. The one aerial tower replacing the tower ladder that we have, that's options 1, 2, and 3 based on the number of years that we would obviously finance it. And then option 4, 5, and 6 are for a new engine and a new tower ladder combined. So that gives you guys kind of a visual of where we're at money wise and what we, would be looking to pay as far as payments. And again, that's based on no money down. We have obviously a little bit of money, not much, tied up into the tower ladder if we were to sell it, or the old Sutphen engine. So again, just food for thought as we get into the appropriations. I want to give you guys the visual. I said I'd look into some of this stuff, but this gives you guys kind of an idea of where we're at.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
I don't understand the difference. Maybe two different there. What's the difference in equipment?
The tower ladder is that truck with the 95-foot ladder in the basket on there. And it carries all of the ladders. So that's why it's called a truck. The engine has all the hose. It's a little smaller rig. The reason I priced that out is we do have that 1992 Sutphen. I just wanted to get an idea of where we were at, because at some point, like I said, in the last couple of yearly or annual reports, I've included that in replacement program, and the engine's up, the truck's up. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of this stuff, is all unfortunately come and due at the same time. So just trying to give, like I said, you guys an idea of where we're at financially as far as what you guys would be looking at having to put out.
Okay, thanks.
Can you do me a favor, Chief, and just forward that off to Kevin Donahue as well
Sure. Okay.
for the finance? I mean, I could do it too, but if you would, that way, coming from you, he can take a look at it. We'll put it on the agenda there to at least, get an idea, because they're the ones that are going to need to figure out how we're going to pay for this,
Right. Okay.
Okay. Anything else for the chief? Any questions under old business? Chief, you don't have anything else? How about new business? Anything, Chief?
No, nothing.
No? Okay.
No, sir.
All right, you're off the hook. You're off the hook. So now we'll move on to police department. Chief, Chief Ernie, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, we're up to you.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. So I'll go through my report. If everybody's looking through it, going along with me again, I'll skip over the things that are repetitive from the previous months. So on the first page, administrative updates, our probationary police officer is still continuing his training at Macon County Training Center, and he should be expected to graduate the end of December. The approved staffing level for full-time sworn police officers is 37. We are currently still at 33, like I had stated last month, but we're looking at it actually being in reality 31 due to an officer injury and the probationary officer still at the academy. So we are still at 31. Clerical supervisor Jim McGeever retired on October 30th with 20 years of service to the city of Blue Island. And we're in the process of hiring 2 entry-level police clerks before the end of the year to replace a resignation and the retirement. I attended several meetings this month, just like previous months. Item E for the STEP grant that we had gotten, our first section of the STEP grant. The campaign ran from October 1st through the 16th. We had 91 vehicles that were stopped. 79 citations were issued for speeding. There were 6 arrests, and there were 30 citations issued for other offenses other than speeding. Going down to number 2 for the monthly reporting for the clerical totals. For the revenue streams for October, it was $37,908.94. and you will see that in the attachment, letter A. You have your sworn report, item B, monthly stats, attachment C, and your incident count, which is attachment D. As usual for every month. On the second page, calls for service, there was a total of 2,824 incidences recorded for October. 1,217 were serviced by the officers, and 1,424 were self-initiated by the officers. There were 11 firearms that were recovered, no Narcan deployments for the month, and there was a total of 224 hours of training within the department for the month of October. Going into page 3 for the overtime, as it is detailed here, the actual overtime after reimbursable overtime is $20,853.26. On the bottom for department projects, those are all the same. We're still, for item B, we're still getting a couple other quotes for body cameras. I'm sorry, that's not item B. That's for the key fobs. Going on to page 4, item F is for the body cameras. I apologize. Item F on top of page 4, we are still getting quotes from other vendors so that we are prepared for the 2020 appropriations to present body camera quotes. The patrol fleet is in the middle of the page, and then the investigation case assignments are on the bottom of page 4 and continuing on the top of page 5. And then going into the cases of interest, on October 7th, I know many of these you guys are already aware of, but there might be some additional information, so I'm going to go ahead and read these anyways. On October 7th, we had the homicide in the 12800 block of Hoyne. The apartment lessee was in the process of eviction when the moratorium on evictions in Cook County was enacted in March. The lessee left the apartment, but not before allowing others to access the apartment. The landlord was unsuccessful in removing these occupants as well due to the moratorium. There were no recent complaints to the address prior to the shooting. The limited information obtained suggested there was a gathering in the apartment, which led outside and subsequently resulted in gunfire. The deceased victim was from Chicago, and the family has no information to provide about his activities. A second victim who was injured on the arm, also from Chicago, was in the area but not involved with the other people on scene. All located witnesses were from Chicago or other suburban communities, and none of the persons identified have a direct connection to Blue Island, and the investigation is still ongoing. On October 10th, reckless discharge at 13031 Western, which is Ravens Place. Officers responded to the area for shots fired. Security alleged it did not occur. Witnesses in the parking lot indicated a male fired a few gunshots, then fled in an unknown vehicle. Officers searched the area without success. The following day, a subject reported his vehicle sustained damage from a projectile while visiting another establishment, and the investigation is ongoing. On October 13th, there was an aggravated discharge in the 1900 block of High Street. Officers responded for gunfire in the area. Officers located physical evidence, including shell casings, and spoke with witnesses who provided little information. 2 residents on High Street sustained damage from a projectile. The evidence was collected and will be analyzed, and the investigation is still ongoing. On October 21st, there was an armed robbery at the Citgo, 12932 Ashland Avenue. Responded to a call for an armed robbery. The victims indicated they arranged to meet an unknown subject at the gas station to purchase a mobile phone. The suspects entered the victim's vehicle to presumably conduct the transaction. Both suspects produced firearms and relieved the victims of money, a purse, and the keys to the vehicle before fleeing on foot. The suspects fled to a vehicle which was observed by a witness. The witness provided information from the vehicle, which led the detectives to the registered address of the vehicle in Chicago. One subject was arrested and charged with armed robbery, and the second suspect has not been identified. On page 6, on October 22nd, there was a home invasion in the 12200 block of Fairway Circle. Officers observed a red vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed northbound on Vincennes, then westbound on 123rd Street. The officers began to follow the vehicle and attempted to stop it. The vehicle continued while the driver waved to the officers in a manner indicating for them to follow him. Upon reaching Maple Avenue, a white panel van traveling eastbound on 123rd turned southbound on Maple, and the red vehicle began chasing the van. At that time, dispatch then reported on the radio a home invasion having occurred on Fairway Circle involving a white van. The red car stopped for the officers while additional officers pursued the van while obtaining more information from dispatch. The occupants of the red vehicle were the victim's boyfriend and a friend of his. Officers were advised of a possibility of a child abduction also being part of the home invasion, with the child being in the white van. The occupants of the red car were on the phone with the victim, relaying this information. Officers continued to pursue the white van, then learned the child was located and never removed from the residence. The pursuit continued until the fleeing vehicle was involved in a vehicle crash. Both occupants fled the scene, but left behind several items of evidence, which is being analyzed. The victim has acknowledged that the incident was stemming from the large amounts of cannabis inside the residence, and the investigation is still ongoing. On October 25th, there was an aggravated discharge in the 2900 block of 141st Place. Officers responded to shots fired in the area and located shell casings in the street and damage to unoccupied vehicles in the driveway and damage to the building. The investigation has suggested the occupants of the residence were targeted as a result of a long-term personal vendetta, and the detectives are working with the ATF in regards to this investigation. On October 30th, there was a death investigation in the 2400 block of 127th Street. Officers responded to the abandoned residence after being contacted by a management company contracted by the bank. The employee arrived to conduct winterizing on the pre-foreclosed property. The property has been in pre-foreclosure for an extended period of time due to court delays as a result of COVID. The deceased was located in a bathtub on the first floor of the building. The abandoned building appears to have been occupied by squatters. A few days prior to the discovery, a subject was removed from the rear of the property, and the doors appeared to be secured at the time. The scene was processed and numerous pieces of evidence were collected. The deceased was transported to the medical examiner's office for autopsy, and he has yet to be identified. The investigation is being pursued as a suspicious death until further information is obtained. On October 31st, there was an aggravated vehicular hijacking on the 2800 block of Broadway Street. Officers responded to the area and learned the suspects, described as male Hispanic, 18 to 25 years of age, armed with rifles, ordered the victim from the vehicle and fled. Shortly after, the Posen Police Department initiated a pursuit with the vehicle. The vehicle struck 3 Posen police vehicles during the pursuit and continued fleeing. Blue Island units began to pursue the vehicle until the vehicle managed to escape on I-294 North. The vehicle was recovered in Buffalo Grove and processed. Both firearms were recovered after being thrown from the window during the pursuit. Information suggests the offenders may be related to other crimes in the surrounding communities, and the investigation is ongoing. On the top of page 7, October 31st, there was a fatal crash in the 130 block of South Maple. An elderly pedestrian was struck by an elderly driver while crossing the road. Reconstruction was conducted by the SMART team. There was no indication of impairment, and the initial investigation was handled by the Patrol Division, and the SMART report is not yet available on their findings. I also want to add, under miscellaneous, I just was brought to my mind when the fire chief said about his testing. The police department is also testing for entry-level full-time police officers. We have it posted in several different places. The test is going to be on December 19th, and the deadline to turn in applications at the police department is December 14th. And then you will see the 4 attachments at the end of my report, along with the additional crime stats that were requested in reference to the comparison between the 2019 stats and the 2020 stats. Chairman, did you want me to go into that since we have it in front of us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so just so that you know, I didn't clarify this on my document, but just so that you know, the last the last 6 pages of my packet are the crime comparisons for 2019 and 2020, and this is from the dates of January 1st until November 15th. For both of those years, so that it's accurately compared. And then obviously at the end of the year, we would just have to, again, compare the end of year totals at that time. So keeping in mind, I know there have been a lot of concerns about crime going up in Blue Island, most specifically shots being fired, shooting incidences and things of that nature. So I would like to say a few things in reference to these crime stats. As you can see, as you go along this list, we do have some things that have gone down since last year, such as sexual assaults, robberies, armed robberies, burglaries, residential burglaries, theft from vehicles, criminal defacement, and then we've also had an increase of arrests for traffic arrests, suspended driver's licenses, traffic stops have gone up tremendously, speeding tickets have gone up tremendously that are being issued. So in reference to obviously our concerns, which is also a concern to me about the things that have gone up, such as the shots fired and things of that nature. I do want to say that the police department has been working very hard with the staff that we have right now. And I'm not just talking about our full-time staff, but I'm also talking about our part-time staff and our clerical staff. Unfortunately, our community borders a city with one of the highest crime rates in the United States, maybe even in the nation, and that is Chicago. And unfortunately, a lot of that activity bleeds into the surrounding towns, which includes Blue Island. With that being said, we are also dealing with a lot of outside issues that are beyond our control and have a negative impact on controlling crime. For example, there's a lot more people that are staying home because of COVID. There are a lot more people that are losing their jobs. It's very difficult for people dealing with that. And it has a negative impact on how they're dealing with it. And unfortunately, it's also creating more opportunities for crime. We're also dealing with a bond reform where more offenders are out on bond now because of COVID that normally would still be locked up if not for COVID. And some of them are also reoffending. We also have the moratorium, as I explained earlier, on our evictions. So it's very difficult for our building owners to remove tenants that are causing problems. Because of an increase in shootings everywhere, not just in Blue Island, unfortunately, we have a backlog in our crime labs with submission of evidence because because they're dealing with all of the ballistic evidence that they're analyzing for all these shootings that are going on, not just in Blue Island, but everywhere. If there's a solvability for a lot of our crimes that have been going on in Blue Island, it's going to take longer for us to get those results back from the crime lab. And we also are dealing with the court system shutting down again. I know it's been back and forth through COVID. And now, because our numbers are going higher in Illinois, our court systems are shutting down now, and they're only doing necessary bond hearings and prelims and things like that. So unfortunately, trials are being delayed. Therefore, convictions are being delayed. Therefore, incarcerations are being delayed. So unfortunately, we have that going against us as well. But I also want to reassure you that we're doing, like I said, we're doing the best we can with what we have. And we're dealing with unprecedented times for the year of 2020, more specifically after March, dealing with COVID. These are not the same times we were living in 3 years ago, not even from a year ago. We weren't dealing with the levels of civil unrest. We haven't been dealing with a COVID-19 pandemic or the unrest from a presidential election, and we are not out of the woods with any of these issues. And these are all serious issues that we are continuing to deal with, along with all of the other things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. What I am very thankful for is that I'm not reporting to you that we have squad cars being destroyed or tipped over, or our police station being burned down, or police officers being shot, and everything else that goes along with it. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished with this police department, and I'm hoping that you are too, considering what we have been going through since March. I know that the community and the police department, we've been going through a lot with this COVID, and I'm not negating the fact that COVID is serious, because it is serious, and we need to take it very serious. But since this has happened, we have been working. We have not stopped working. To this day, I've been putting a lot of demands on my staff. We've not stopped working during civil unrest, COVID, the presidential election. I required my staff to not take any benefit time off so that we can make sure that we have enough staffing to be able to handle everything that we're doing. Everybody has been stepping up. We could have had grievances in reference to me not allowing people to take their benefit time. We could have had grievances through CBAs, but we haven't, not a peep. Everyone knew it was the sacrifice that they need to make because it's important for us to be working. And I commend them for stepping up and not creating unnecessary problems for me and the city in reference to that. When we've had shootings that have occurred, we've saturated the areas where we've had these problems. Unfortunately, our saturation means I'm able to give at least at minimum one extra officer in that area. Whereas years ago, we may have been able to saturate an area with 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 more officers. Unfortunately, that is not our case now, dealing with the type of staffing that we have. So when we do have these shootings, we are doing things about it. We are concerned about them. We are taking steps that we can, considering the staffing levels that we have. When there was a demand to take care of fireworks, we have stepped up and did more than previous years. When there was a demand for tickets to be written for city stickers and overnight parking, we've had hundreds, we wrote hundreds and hundreds of them. We are still arresting people. As an example, last year, we had approximately 650 arrests, little less than that last year. We're up to 750 this year with 2 more months to go. We've stopped 3,500 vehicles for various traffic violations last year. We've already stopped 5,600 this year with 2 more months to go. So we're dealing with a lot of things, but we're also getting a lot of things accomplished with the staffing levels that we have and the negative things that are happening around us and the resources that unfortunately are not available because of this pandemic. So I would like some feedback from people in reference to any other concerns that you would like to bring up in reference to this.
Well, I'll jump in here real quick first.
Sure.
Excuse me. This is on the hill. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm here.
Okay, Johnny, gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
639. Okay. Yeah, Chief, I think I mean, obviously I appreciate everything that you just said there, and it does shine a whole lot of light on things for everyone. So I think that'll hopefully help people understand things. And I think I've gotten phone calls from people, other aldermen, excuse me, residents and everything. And I think a lot of what it comes down to, at least what initiates people's fears, is all the shots being fired around town. You know, I mean, there's been a lot of them this year, and just looking at your numbers here, it's up quite a bit from last year.
Yes.
I just, you know, and I get that that's, a lot of these are people coming from other towns. I know that, and you've done a pretty good job at keeping us informed of things with an email the next day explaining, you know, they weren't residents or whatever. It just, it's worrisome to people, and I think that might be part of the reason why everyone's, I don't want to say panicking, but getting upset about things and thinking that crime numbers are higher than they actually are. But, you know, by looking at these numbers, I appreciate you. I'm going to look at them better, you know, a little more in depth here, but I appreciate the explanation that you gave. So,
Yeah, and I'd like to respond to that as well.
sure.
So yes, and I understand, you know, a lot of people are more comfortable sometimes to come to other city officials rather than police with their concerns, their information. But we would love for people to reach out to us with any information that they can provide us, even if they remain anonymous. Or if you guys, when you guys are talking to the citizens, please provide that information to us too, because unfortunately, a lot of reasons why we can't make arrests in a lot of these situations is because we have no witnesses. We have nobody that can pick somebody out of a lineup and things of that nature. And if we can have more people come forward with this information, I know the statement has been out there for quite a while. If you see something, say something. And I understand the fear that neighbors have in reference to these things, but this will help us with this, because not only are a lot of these things happening from people that are outside of Blue Island, but there are some things that are happening with people in Blue Island, and we need to get a hold of that as well. And we need people to come forward with information that would help us tremendously to be able to curb this better than what we can with our resources.
Okay, I have just one more quick question. You were talking about saturating areas, you know, if there's gunshots and you're only allowed, you know, you have one officer going now, where in the past you used to have 3 or 4. Was that because you had more part-time officers in the past, or how could you do that in the past but not do it now, is what I'm asking?
Right, part-timers and full-timers. Obviously, you know the numbers with the full-timers.
Sure.
We're at 31, but like I said, that includes myself, my administrative sergeant, my 5 detectives, so that even brings that number lower for the actual patrol division. And then you divide that into 4 shifts, and then you have to take in consideration when people are taking benefit time. And so that obviously brings that number down. On average, we have a supervisor on each shift and either 4 or 5 additional officers, which some of them include a corporal, and the rest are patrol officers. But then you also have to take into account if someone's in training, or if someone's on vacation, or if someone calls off sick, benefit time, whatever, if they're off injured, whatever the case may be. So that obviously drastically reduced that number. And also with the amount of money that I have for my part-time budget, I'm stretching it as far as I possibly can. I know that back in years past, we would have 20 plus part-timers all the time on our department. We have, I think, maybe 10. And that contributes, there's a lot to contribute to that, because there are part-timers that are leaving to get a full-time job, or they're going to another agency that pays more as a part-timer, or with me being limited on the amount of hours that I can give officers, I just can't put them out on the street. Or they're leaving because it's their time and they're retiring. We've had a few that just retired that have been on our department several years and said, I'm done, this is it. So there's a lot of factors going into why we used to have a lot of part-timers to we have very little right now. So there's a lot of factors to it.
All right, thanks. Anybody else have any questions for Chief?
Yeah, Jim, I just wanted to maybe copy your comment with a couple other thoughts about the crime report, which thank you so much, Chief. And I really think, be commended, generally speaking, because I went through the report, kind of quickly because we've had it for a couple hours. I took a green marker and I highlighted the items that have decreased, and an orange marker, and highlighted the items that have increased. And when I'm done with it, all impression, I think it's really important to say it, is that things are not out of control in Blue Island. Some things are up a bit, some things are down a bit. Probably on balance, I'd say, compared to 2019, or maybe the same, or I would say even a little bit better, generally speaking. I understand about the shots fired. That's a big concern. It's a frightening thing, and I understand why that causes concern. But if you look at the overall, report that you've given us, I think your force, as you say, is doing a great job. And again, I want to commend you. And I just want to say it's important for us, for the community to understand that, I think safety overall is being maintained in Blue Island. It's also important for our neighbors to know that. Those who want to come here and do bad things, we do take care of them, generally speaking. And you're challenged, I know, but you're doing a pretty good job on that. And also, we don't want to be scaring people away from Blue Island. And so if there's a problem, let's all get up and really jump on it and do something about it. But I think that we got to, take a measured view of what's going on. And, you could say, for example, there were 2 murders this year where there was 1 last year. That's a terrible thing, for no doubt. But it's 2 versus 1, so keep it in perspective. So again, I want to thank you for, doing a good job, certainly from the results seem to speak for themselves, and keep it up. And we need to try to find some ways to develop resources, because certainly it's a challenging time. And I know we don't have the resources to go out and do the enforcement on local business establishments that frankly, I'd like to see us do, but we can't pull officers away from other, critical things. So we're just a little shorter than we should be, and we need to find a way to resolve that. But anyway, I thank you for what you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Alderman. And it's my staff. It's my staff. It's my police officers that are out there doing this. So it's commends to them.
Chief Arzab, this is Alderman Stevo.
Yes, sir.
How are your 12-hour shifts working out for you?
You know what? There's a mixed feeling on it. In past, the history of it is normally, they're working fine. But normally you have your younger police officers who have that more energy and not as many responsibilities. They're okay with the 12 hours. And then you have your older staff, that have more years on and have families and other responsibilities, not so keen on 12 hours. But for the most part, it's been working fine for our department.
I see. I've had some concerns, some calls on Gregory and Union Street, stop sign violators. If you could do something about that. It happens all time of day and night. If you could look into that, please.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Anybody else have anything for the chief either on her report or the crime report?
Yes. This is Alderman Hill. Chief, you're doing a great job. I'm going to make mine short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's our pleasure.
Anyone else?
Cazares, I just want to thank the chief for keeping us up to date and providing us the updates that we are very resourceful to us. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else? All right, Chief, do you have anything else, either old business, new business, anything at all?
No, I don't. Thank you.
You don't. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to a couple things under Alderman's concerns then, since we've covered all the reports. The first one, we're looking for approval. Alderman Johnson, do you want to talk about this? It's a stop sign at 140th Place in Francisco, a 4-way stop. Go ahead, Dex.
Yeah, what happens is that they got these, hybrid cars that they're flying just through, and there's a lot of kids right there in that corner area. And the residents actually asked me to see if we could put a 4-way there to try to prohibit some of that, where they had to at least break down to stop and try to build speed up instead of coming from 140th with no stop in between. So that was their idea to come, and I'm just trying to oblige their idea to make the neighborhood more safe.
I'm not quite sure how this works, but I think we need to make a motion and we'll send it off to the judiciary so they can double check it and get it drafted up. So Dex,
Okay,
you want
I'll
to
make a motion. Yes, sir.
140th place in Francisco, correct? Yep, you cut out, Dex. 140th
Yes,
place
sir.
in Francisco. Okay.
Yes,
So I
sir.
have a motion by Alderman Johnson to approve a four-way stop sign at
I'll
140th
make
place
the
in
second.
Francisco. Second by Alderman Carr. Anybody have any questions? All right, roll call. Klinker's an aye. Carr?
Aye.
Fahrenwald?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Cazares?
Aye.
And Stevo.
Aye.
Okay, that one passes. Now I'm gonna kind of add something here under the comment that I have that just came to my attention today. I got a letter, I think it also went to Alderman Carr from Municipal Services, from a concerned resident that witnessed the accident at Maple and New Street that unfortunately resulted in the elderly lady passing away. And he's requesting a stop sign. Same thing, four-way stop at New and Maple. I didn't have it on the agenda for an approval. I'm just kind of looking for a consensus. And then I know Alderman Rita's planning on talking about it in her committee too already because she was made aware of it. So does anyone have any questions on that or anyone have any issues with that? Or is it okay if I just let her know that, we reached a consensus that would be okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Could I just give, it seems like it is that our city engineering firm should at least maybe quickly weigh in on just because they're the experts.
That was also my next point. Thanks, Bill. Because the resident also requested a stop sign at, let me get my streets right, High Street. Yeah, High Street in Maple as well, which pretty much puts a stop sign all the way down Maple from Vermont Street all the way down to Oak Street. Yeah. So what I'll do is if this works, and the same thing with Alderman Johnson's, we'll pass them on to Judiciary Committee and have them running through the firm and go from there. Does that work?
Sounds good to me.
At least have them make a recommendation. I think that probably is not a bad idea. All right. So what I'll do is I'll let Alderman Rita know that both of those are good to go as far as we're concerned. We just want them to kind of be reviewed real quickly by them. Moving on, the other item, a couple more items on the under Alderman concerns, COVID regulations discussion regarding restaurants and bars. Bill, you want to take off on that one?
Yeah, and I'll try to keep it short because I know our meeting's running kind of long, but I do think it's a really important issue. As Chairman knows, I walk up and down Western quite a bit with the dogs, so I've been watching what's going on. The basic issue here is that every single establishment, not every single, that's an overstatement, many of the establishments, bars and restaurants in town are not in compliance with current restrictions. And it's all being flouted pretty openly, and we're not alone. It's going on everywhere. And we all understand everybody's really tired of this and so on and so forth. But if I might just real quickly read from today, what Governor Pritzker was reporting as of Monday, Illinois was averaging more than 200 coronavirus patients in state hospitals, a number 400 more than the spring high, and a 70% increase in the last 2 weeks. According to data, 5,600 residents are currently in hospitals due to coronavirus. Of these, 1,144 are in intensive care units. That's 1,140.
Thank you very much for that.
14
and I apologize if you guys had to watch me watch the video, but I couldn't figure out how to turn myself off without stopping the video itself.
All three statistics are the highest metrics seen in their respective categories since the first peak. In unknown territory with this thing, and are going up, straight up practically. It's a really dangerous thing. And I'll just give you a story, and it's just one story, I realize, but friends of my wife, their 7-year-old son on Friday night fell down from their first floor to their basement stairs. And all was said and done, they were really concerned because he wasn't acting too well. And they called for an ambulance and were told it would be a 2-hour wait, which I assume had to do maybe with his injury versus other things. And then they drove him to Palos Hospital, got there about 6 o'clock at night, registered, told them what the problem was. waited until 1:30 in the morning and went home because they could never be seen. They said the place was overrun with coronavirus people walking in. So this is a really serious problem. There's no question that the bars and restaurants are contributing to it. I don't frankly think we have the resources to deal with it here. We're overwhelmed. And also, if we go to shut a place down, then we also have to go through the process of all the legal work. And we're going to see tomorrow night what that's costing us. It's not cheap. But nevertheless, I don't have an answer, but it is a problem, and it's a big one, and it's going to be a problem for the next 3 months. We're waiting for a vaccine. That's a ways down the road here. So I don't, we all communities need to get together and go to the state. Hey, we need more manpower here or whatever, but this is not a good situation. It's getting worse. And it could be very grim here. It's get grimmer. So I am really concerned about what's going on. And again, I don't know whether one of the chiefs has an idea. You've been talking about this, I know already, till you're blue in the face amongst yourselves, but maybe a perspective on it.
I think Alderman Fahrenwald, if I might.
I'm sorry. This is Alderman Hill. Alderman Fahrenwald, what business are you referring to?
Our bars and our restaurants. I mean,
okay. And
every single.
What problem are we having with those?
So they are prohibited from indoor service at this point. They can only do, carry out, or they can have outdoor service, which of course is obviously impractical at this point. Virtually all of them are operating indoor services.
So what is the amount of people could be inside of the restaurant itself?
Zero.
Yeah. Zero.
Right?
Okay.
You can go in for takeout.
And that's per the governor, correct?
That is correct, Alderman.
And just again, if I might, just to put a little bit of, or piggyback off of what Alderman Fahrenwald had just said, is some of it, and I think you remember, and it might have, and I don't recall if it was against the advice of council or if you guys decided not to, but without the local ordinance, and Bernie's already gave a synopsis of obviously how busy they are and everything else, without the resources to continually go into these places and basically give them the order and say, this is what it is. And then, like I said, without the local ordinance to support it. And you're right, Alderman Farron, we talked about this as a task force repeatedly. I mean, we pretty much talk about it every single meeting at least once about, and I'm not saying that what the state is doing is wrong. I don't believe that, but I think that when they throw it out to the local municipalities, especially the smaller ones that don't have the ability or the resources to do some of this stuff and then don't offer support, then that's where we find ourselves where we're at right now. And I think human nature and the way it is people's livelihoods are obviously being affected day to day. And I think you're seeing a lot of, pushback in that regard. And certainly you would hope that everybody would follow what is being asked of them to do, but that's obviously not the reality of it. So I think that collectively we get information out to the folks, both obviously the elected officials and the citizens of the town. And, again, what people do with that beyond us telling them, I mean, enforcement wise, you're right. We're very limited in what we can do.
So I'm going to jump in here real quick with two things. I got an email today. I don't know if you guys all get them from the Illinois Municipal League from, I think it's Brad Cole.
Yeah.
If you read through it down towards the bottom, there's a lot in there about basically all the other municipalities in the state saying the same thing. Is like, we don't have the manpower. We don't have the funds. We it's hard to enforce this. The state comes down with a mandate. The governor says boom, 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 and expects all the cities to be able to enforce all this, which is very difficult. My point about enforcement, though, is that if we're going to enforce it, we need to be fair and we need to be consistent across the board. We can't just go to one and say you got to do this and not do someone else. I know I talked to the owners of the public house, the Rock Island Public House, and they're doing everything by the book. Everyone's outside. They're sinking a lot of money into, outside tables, heaters, all this other kind of stuff. And then other places just letting people come inside, and that's their choice. And they're doing the right thing as far as I'm concerned. And I commend them for that. But it's just, from that business owner standpoint, it's very frustrating. But my point, as far as the city is concerned, whatever we do needs to be fair and consistent across the board if we're going to do any type of enforcement. That's all I got. Anybody else have any comments on this?
This is Johnson. I agree with you, Chairman Klinker. I was a business owner there too once, and it's hard, but let's be fair. Let's be fair, because we know the owners and things that we try to turn a blind eye to. It can't be done that way, And the other thing is, we talk about attorney fees and things. What is the cost of someone's loved one's life?
And
We already, talked about, Zach's Autos, the mom and the dad. You know what I'm saying? So, what's the cost of someone's life?
I agree with you. If I might just say, it's a frustrating situation. I agree with pretty much everything that's been said here. But I guess what I'm wondering, and I know, time is short. Have we heard, is there any effort on the state's part that we're aware of that, or could we join together with other communities to please ask the state in a more formal way, we can't do this, we need your help. Because it's a pretty desperate situation that's going to get really ugly. It's going to not be a happy Christmas for a lot of people.
So that's in that email as well, Bill. I don't know if you get it, I can forward it to you. But it's basically the Illinois Municipal League is looking, for a seat at the table, for lack of a better word, with the governor, and I know the legislature is also asking too to say, okay, enough of the executive orders. We need to make a long-term plan. We need more people than him just making decisions. So that was part of it too. So what I'm getting at is, and I hate that it happens elsewhere too, but it does happen elsewhere, and other people are having the same issue. So, but the fairness and consistency can't be stressed enough as far as I'm concerned.
But Chairman Klinker, we have state reps, we have senators. That was supposed to be the voice of us to be heard directly to the governor's ear. Besides us doing our part, they have to do their damn part as well. This is not only stressing us out as a city, but it should be stressing them out too, because they, their boundary lines border through many cities.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Dex.
If I could just ask, that's a great point, Chair. I haven't read that. It's interesting that the league is kind of taking up the charge there. Could we, I don't know, as a city, could the mayor or maybe the chiefs or whatever, just, be in touch with them to let them know that, we really support that initiative and we really desperately need their help?
Chief Dan, you think you could do that with the task force? I don't know if you get the email, I could forward it to you.
Yeah, no, I get it. So yeah, we've gone through and yeah, I'll do whatever needs to be done, because but we do, amongst the Fire Chiefs Association, I know Bernie's talked about it, with the police have talked about it in their meetings. We do say the same things and feel the same way that you all are feeling. And certainly we're the ones, I guess, if you will, on the front line trying to deal with it day to day. So it becomes troublesome in many ways for us. And then, obviously couple that with all the other stuff that Bernie alluded to in her discussion. And it's tough. And you're right, Alderman Fairwell. I think as the year goes on and the holidays get here, I think it's going to get tougher. And everybody needs a little bit of relief. And, what that looks like at the end of the day, I don't know. But yeah, yes, I'll do whatever we have to do to try and push that agenda and get some relief. Sure, certainly.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely agree. This is Alderman Cazares. I absolutely agree with everything that was said, especially about the fairness. And I also want to make note that we should do our best to keep a note that many of these businesses are doing everything they can to keep afloat and keep their livelihood running, which is their business. So I'm not saying anyone has been or whatever, but we got to make sure to not demonize any of these business owners or businesses by the problems that that may be resulting from their clientele. If anything, we're talking a lot about who can help us to alleviate the problem, but we should also talk about how we can help those business owners to solve any problems that just fall outside their limitations. I know, I know that many of these businesses and business owners are not going to put the public health or this public safety over profit, but definitely we want to make sure that we are here, whether it's our police force or us as a council, we are here to support them to achieve their goal, which is staying open during this pandemic and make it through it. Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? If not, we'll go to the last item. Alderman Stevo requested that we put Irving Avenue becoming a one-way street south of New Street on the agenda.
Yes.
I know it's been to municipal services. I don't know if it's been to judiciary or not, but go ahead, Alan.
Thank you. Yes, this is continually being discussed, talked about. The study showed that there were over 900 cars that use this daily, and the city's trying to change from one way to two ways, Western Avenue and Gregory Street. And residents do prefer on some streets to have a two-way street. And let's do it right. Let's keep it two ways. And I think the engineer has to work harder on this. Find an engineer who thinks that two ways would be right there, because there's a lot of action going on with the metro station, and it's going to become an inconvenience for residents who want to go two ways at that with that Gregory at Union, Irving and New Street. So I think the discussion is going to continue, and hopefully they'll have another public hearing and announce it. They had one on August 25th, and I'd like to see another public hearing on it.
I listened to the municipal services meeting last week, and Alderman Carr, I know you're on that committee. I know this was discussed at length. I realized that there was a public hearing that no one attended from what I remember hearing. And I believe that municipal services pretty much put everything on hold at least through the end of the year, including this project, and asked for him to come back with another public hearing. Is that correct, Candy?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We're trying not to start any new projects for this fiscal year. We're trying to wait and see how much money is going to be available for next year.
Yeah. Okay, so right now it's on hold anyway, and I know that a request has been made by Alderman Stevo through that committee to make sure there is another public hearing and that people get notified of it. So, okay, does anybody have anything else under Alderman's concerns or comments? All right.
Klinker, I have one more. Miss Sue Wagner, is there any health report that she submitted?
So when I first got on this committee, I asked about that because we're public health and safety. Apparently the health inspector has been reporting to, help me out here, Community Development Committee for the last few years. So even though it says public health and safety in our committee, the health inspector, even the previous one, previous to Miss Wagner, reports to that committee, is what I've been told. So I do not get a report from her. I did ask for a report from her on the rat abatement program, and I also asked a report from her on, well, I can't look. I got to look back through an email. There was something else that I had a question about. And she herself was out sick for a couple of weeks and just came back to work Monday. And she's supposed to, I included you in that rat question, Alderman Stevo.
That's correct.
So she does report to a different committee. She does not report to us. I do not have any report from her.
It just seems to me that since it's public health and safety, that she really should report to this committee.
I completely agree with you, but I
totally agree as well.
Well, I completely agree with that too, but they've been reporting to community development since before I was alderman, is what I was told. So
if I can interject, Chairman,
go ahead.
The health inspector did report to public health and safety.
Yeah, when I was fire chief, it was I can't remember the guy's name. He used to come to the meetings.
Yeah, he came to all of our meetings. Well, he didn't come to the meetings. He submitted reports.
I believe it came, I'm not sure who it came down from, but the health inspector was going through the building department, who goes through community development. So that's, from what I was told, that's why she got switched, or he, or whoever it was at the time. I can send an email to the mayor or community development and ask them to report to us and see where it gets me.
Well, wouldn't we be better off by doing a petition, all of us signing a petition and sending it to the mayor as well? Stating
I'll just write an email, I think, John, that says we all agree that since we are the public health and safety department, our committee, person should report to us. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes,
Perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine.
Sounds good.
Okay.
thank you.
All right. So I will do that tomorrow. Hang on a second. I got to write myself a note here. All right. Anybody else have anything else? If not,
Yeah,
I need a
Chief Klinker.
Go ahead.
This is Dexter. Yeah, I discussed with you about that fencing along the Kedzie Bridge. I have mentioned it to Jim Postel a couple of times, and I know he submitted it. At least that's what he told me he did, and I believe him. And the thing is that the lady and the gentleman and a couple other houses down there been complaining. I guess the people on that bridge, they see the police coming because opposing. Malothian and them sets up a mini speed trap down there. So they'll get rid of the bottles and throw them. And because of it's just a guardrail, it ends up in them people, front yards, or it could be somebody walking and get hit in the head or something. You know what I mean?
Right. So I apologize. I didn't put that on the agenda. Right after you emailed me about that, Alderman Johnson, I emailed both Jim Postel and Mark Miller, who's in charge of special projects, but at the county bridge, asking what's going on with that. I did get a response from Jim Postel. I'm not sure if you were CC'd on that or not. That basically says he's asked about it and he's got nowhere with it.
Nowhere.
So I'll put the pressure on both of them, and I think I CC'd the mayor on that, but I will also on this one again, and try to get somebody to get on the county to look into that, because like you said, there's only fencing along the bridge over the part that goes over the tracks. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah, but you want it all
the houses.
Yeah,
right. For the houses, because you throw a beer bottle at a train, a metal train. Come on. But if you throw something over there and hit some, elderly person or even a kid or just anybody.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I apologize for not putting it on here. I did that right away, and I got a response right away, and I was going to follow up with Mark Miller, and I never did. That's my fault. I apologize. I will follow up on that tomorrow with both of them, and I'll keep you posted, okay?
I appreciate it, because I know Jim asked about it, but I've been on him about it. So
sure, you've been talking about that for a couple of years.
And still has not gotten a response yet.
Right. Okay. All right, I'll double check with them, and I'll let you know, okay?
All right. Thank you.
I apologize for leaving that off. That was my mistake. So, okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by now? Johnson.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Johnson. Second by Cazares. All right. Let's do a roll call. Klinker, aye. Carr.
Aye.
Fahrenwald.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Cazares.
Aye.
And Stevo.
Aye.
Okay, that's it. The meeting's over at 7:12. Our next meeting is December 15th, 2020. I'm assuming it's going to be on Zoom since we're partially locked down or whatever again. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night.